10 after 11. I think we should get started.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so thank you so much for just sparing your time because I know it's been a really busy week for you. It's funny because we were last talking about how I would prep for this. And so I was kind of like going through my head, like, okay, yeah, I could go through all the articles ever written on Eva. I could get really, really crazy about it. But at the end of the day, that's kind of a waste of time because where you were, even a day ago might possibly not even be where you're at right now. So and I think that it's so important to always stick to present tense, right? Like being in the current moment and allowing new lessons to flow through. So where are you right now? Physically, mentally, spiritually?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Kristen and I often do check-ins, and we use one words to describe our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual states. Mental, emotional, spiritual selves, which is our mess. So
I love that. Could you say that again for everybody?
Yeah, our mental, emotional, spiritual selves is our mess.
Is your mess, totally.
My mess. So, my mess is mentally mentally I'm strong. Emotionally, I'm grounded. Spiritually, I feel connected. And physically, I'm growing. I think is probably the best thing to describe it, and not in the way that I was growing physically in the past, which was horizontally outwards.
Right. I think they call that the quarantine 15.
Yeah, I've actually gone quarantine minus 15. So since quarantine started, I started a program called 75 Hard, which was 2-day workouts, 4 liters of water, pick a diet and stick to it, take a photo, drink no alcohol, and read 10 pages of nonfiction literature a day. And since doing that, I started at 203 on March 9th of 2020, and as of the day that the program finished, I was down to 188.
Wow.
So I went quarantine minus 15.
Talk about timing.
Yeah, it was an interesting timing that occurred that kind of lined up with what was going on in the world and what was changing in my life and taking. I just feel really fortunate that the decision that I made to get that started during this time was serendipitous because I kind of accelerated through this period of time where I think a lot of people may have, and there's no judgment, and there's no, whatever you chose to do is fine, I think, if that's what you want to do for you. But for me, I wanted to utilize the opportunity where we had breaks in work to really focus on better, getting better myself. So I'm just fortunate that the timing was not mine. It just happened, and I did the work. You just got to do the work.
So let's talk about that for a second, though. So Antoinette just said congratulations, and truly congratulations. Congratulations, and even just like that amazing frame of thought, because I know that, you say that it was a blessing to have started that program, a week or a week and a half before COVID hit. But a lot of people would actually look at that scenario and say, well, I started this a week ago and now I'm fucked because now I can't go to the gym. Now I can't have access to all the things that I need to make this program happen. So, you know what I mean? Like there's so many variances in how people see situations. So how is it that you see that as serendipitous, as like something that worked to your benefit?
Well, because my life isn't dictated by outside circumstances.
100%.
So as long as your life is dictated by outside circumstances, as long as something outside of your control is gonna dictate how it is that you live your life, then you will always be at the whim of outside forces. So if you tell yourself that you don't have enough time, if you tell yourself that whatever it is that I think it was explained to me, how you do anything is how you do everything. And
that's amazing. How you do everything, or how you do anything?
How you do anything is how you do everything. So, so that, that translates to the smallest things, and plays out into all areas of our life. Um, so yeah, COVID hits, the gyms are closed. I can't go to the gym. That means that I can't work out. Uh, I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that.
Nice. I like the whistleblowers.
Well, it is. It's BS, and you're letting yourself off the hook. And you don't need a gym to work out. You need your body to work out. You can go outside for a walk. You can go for a run. And so it's focusing on the things, the courage to change the things that you can, rather than looking at all the things you cannot control. So what is in my power to actually take control of? I have a saying that I like to live by, and it's, through our inability to accept personal responsibility, we're actually creating our own problems. So once I realized that the problems in my life are actually caused by my irresponsibility, my lack of taking responsibility for my own life and the actions that I take, that is actually what is causing the problem. It's not some outside circumstance that the gym is closed, or that it's raining outside, or whatever the excuse may be. I did workouts. I did 2-a-day workouts, and sometimes my first workout started at midnight. I was at the cottage, and I was literally outside in the backyard running for 45 minutes in a circle in the backyard in the pitch black at midnight, because I needed to get my workout done.
Amazing. Yeah. You know what? It's funny that you said that, because I have a lot of people, because I do some personal training, right? So I have some people saying to me, oh, I heard that it's not good to work out at night. I heard it's not good to work out in the morning. I heard it's not good to work out too much. And it's just like, at the end of the day, one step in the right direction is still one step towards your goal. Right? So as long as you're thinking, as long as you're focusing on all the reasons why you can't, then that's exactly what's going to be your reality, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What we focus on expands. And so, I mean, it's a broad subject, because there's so many different aspects to it. It's not just about, I need to change my perspective, or, thoughts follow action. So for me, I have to do things in spite of how I think or feel about them, because quite regularly I won't want to work out. Quite regularly I won't want to jump into a cold shower.
Totally.
Right? But the difference between my continued success and momentum in that direction is my ability to take action in spite of how I feel about it. So, like, everybody experiences those thoughts, right? It's not like I don't experience the thought of, oh, I don't have a gym to go to. Oh, I don't have weights. While I'm working out, I'm saying, shit, I don't have weights. Like, I really wish I had weights to be lifting right now. So what did I do? I took a rock from my guest room, and I'm lifting a rock for bicep curls. And eventually, when you do enough contractions and you lift that rock enough times, your muscles will get tired. So
what I heard you say just now is that you have the same problems as everyone else. You have those days where the obstacles are piling up, and there's things that completely take away your motivation. But what separates you from someone who left it at that step is that you decided to keep working out that like, you continue to jump over, or at least work towards jumping over that hurdle, instead of standing there and saying, or turning back around and saying, okay, fuck it.
Yeah,
I mean, with the problem.
Yeah, you have to take action, right? It's really simple. It's taking action. It's just doing. The simplest way that I first learned about what this principle was for me is doing the next right thing. Because when I focused on doing the next right thing, it took out the thought process. I didn't have to think about whether or not I needed to go to the gym. I already know that going to the gym is the next right thing. Hey, Scott. Sorry, I'm on chat. The freezer's in the front. That's my brother. He's doing a delivery.
Nice. So in case people don't know, why don't you talk about where you're at right now physically? Maybe they'll be able to get a better idea of kind of the full scope of all the things going through, just in your environment right now.
Well, I'm in Eva's original Chimneys, which is mine and my wife's business. Eva is my grandmother. And so we're at our Bloor Street location, which is our flagship location, just getting ready to open tomorrow to serve the public again for our ice cream, our famous chimney cones that we serve, which is a freshly baked Hungarian pastry filled with soft serve ice cream, a variety of homemade toppings and sauces. So we're pretty excited about that. It's summertime, it's warm outside. Things are starting to open up, so we're excited to start serving again.
Hi. So, okay, as a business owner, how has the hit you personally? What did that mean for your business? And then in turn, what did that mean for your state of mind?
Well, I mean, a lot has changed in the last 3 months. So it's a big question. So, our business hasn't, so we have, I'm trying to think about how to explain this to you guys. So we have three physical locations, one at Bloor Street, one at Port Credit, one in Square One. We have 2 food trucks that operate under the same brand. We have a location at the Canadian National Exhibition for 18 days, and we have a location at the Distillery District for Christmas Market. So, on March 15th, we decided to close all of our locations except for our delivery business, which runs out of the back of Bloor. And
was that decision made because it was forced to be made by, the government sanctions, or was it something that you guys just decided?
No, we independently decided that was the right thing to do at the time. Our staff were uncomfortable. There was a lot of uncertainty. There wasn't much known about what was going to happen. There wasn't much known about what the virus was like or and how it was going to affect people. So we had, our staff were very uncomfortable, and I had no interest in making them want to go to work to sell ice cream to people when they felt unsafe. So we decided to close our locations. Still responsible for all of the regular expenses. So cash flow becomes a problem pretty quickly when you have regular expenses and not regular income coming in. We're also coming out of our slow season, so cash reserves are dipped into pretty much fully. Coming out of the winter season for us is a seasonal business that operates from May until September is the primary selling season for us. So it's a challenging time, and what it's again serendipitous to what was happening personally at the time is my mindset changes from what am I not able to control to what am I able to control. And so you can either sit back and I can blame the outside circumstances of what's going on in the world for the potential failure of our business, or I can adapt and innovate and figure out a way to make it work. Because I'll tell you, I'm not going to be one of those people who tells you that my business failed because of COVID-19.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm not going to blame outside circumstances for the there can be catastrophic consequences to what is happening, and government shutdowns, if that were to happen, would probably mean the end of our business because we wouldn't be able to operate, and I'd still have expenses with no income. That's a bad business model. So I will do everything that I can within my power to innovate, adapt, and continue to be better, continue to find a way to serve our customers, continue to find a way to do what we do best, which is, make people happy with the products that we serve and give people some enjoyment. And that's how we're adapting in this landscape, right? We're not looking at what we can't do, we're looking at what we can do. And focusing on the things that you can change, it puts you in a different type of mentality where creativity is still a viable thing. Creativity is still sparked when you're looking at what can I do? How can I innovate? How can I continue to serve? How can I continue to be better? What is it that we can actually focus on? Okay, well, let's do this, and this. How about adding this into our menu? How about expanding this part of our business? How about, you can actually continue to move into expansion mode because the natural reaction in this type of landscape is retraction, because retraction comes out of fear. So it's the tense up, pull in, and try to conserve. And
for like the meditators, Antoinette, we call that the scarcity complex. You know, when you're put into kind of like a bad situation, you choose to either fight or flight, right? It's either like it's time to pretty much reel it all in. When disaster strikes, you got to reel it all in, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that you moved away from that mentality.
Yeah, well, I didn't at first. So again, when uncertainty first hit at the very beginning, there was some pretty grim projections and some like nobody knew what the hell was going on.
For sure.
So, and they still don't know what the hell is going on.
Even still now, yeah, totally.
Side story, but I think that there's more information available, and with the new information, I'm more comfortable knowing that it's not nearly as bad as we thought it was going to be, and we need to continue to move forward. But I mean, that's a side conversation. But yeah, so retraction was our initial. Holy crap! This is going to affect everything. And after sitting back and analyzing and making some new decisions, the universe is in an ever mode of expansion, as far as we know.
Absolutely.
And, there are principles at play that you can tap into, and abundance is a mentality, a mindset, and a state of connection that you can connect to if you align with it. If you raise your frequency to that level, then you can actually align with it and then bring that into your life, and creative ways of aligning with abundance will continue to appear. So, and it's difficult, we have to push past fear and move into a state of love, gratitude, and so that's kind of what we focused on, right? How can we, and part of that is how do we serve? So when you move into a state of service, into a state of love, into a state of gratitude, it dissipates the fear. You can move back into expansion. You can open up, and you can move forward effectively, creatively, and find new ways to operate within the system that is in play.
Yeah. You gotta, somebody agrees with you in the background.
I guess so, yeah. It's just
you got fans, that's good. Okay, so speaking of fans, how important is it to have your wife working alongside you, to have a support system? So that's like my number one question right now. But actually, sorry, going back to how you said you were reacting to your employees and how they, when they first heard of COVID and this virus that was turning into pandemic, you just mentioned, it's so important to care and to be grateful and to have that constant flow of giving and taking. So, how do you create your boundary as to what is enough feedback and what is enough care? How do you know when you've kind of gone overboard either way, when you're being too selfish or you're giving too much?
So feedback from customers, feedback from who? Feedback from other people?
Feedback, just like feedback. Okay, so let's start with feedback from your employees. So the first change that you had to make, because you said that you decided to close the store down because of the feedback from your employees.
Yeah. So, I mean, feedback's important from customers and employees, because they're on the front lines and will let us know what's actually going on. I'm not there every single day on the front lines. Okay. So when and you have to look at feedback not on a singular basis either. So if I get multiple, so the way that we implement change typically happens when we get similar feedback from multiple sources.
Nice.
So it's not one-off. I feel safe. Oh, I feel unsafe. Okay, well, I will talk to 6 other people and see what their or 10 other of our staff and say, how are you feeling? Well, if 10 of the other people are fine and they're feeling comfortable, then I know that single individual is the one that's experiencing it on a one-off basis, and then I will just help that one individual into comfort or whatever it is that they need. So it may mean that they need to not work anymore and they need to go on EI so that they feel comfortable. And I'm perfectly all right with that. I have no issue catering to the needs of the people who rely on us to help them in whatever manner we can help them. So that's how feedback works for me. It works on a I don't just take one comment or criticism and then go, oh crap, we need to change everything. Well, okay, great. I got some feedback. Let's now discuss that with some of the other people who may experience the same thing. And then if this becomes a common thread amongst a larger group of people, then I know that it's something that needs to be addressed immediately, and then we make changes.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I guess that's also, you making sure that what you're doing is attuning yourself to kind of like, you're tuning to the general, the vibe that you're getting from your employees, as opposed to being reactionary to, a specific case. Because I feel like, when you are tuning into like all the different noises, that's when you can get caught up in the chaos of things, right? But if you're kind of able to, is that pretty much what you're saying? That it's not just like
again, personally and professionally, these are kind of different things, right? So I don't really accept outside criticism personally all that well, and in the sense that, again, if I get multiple messages about the same thing, the person who I receive most criticism from obviously is my wife, and that's not a negative.
Good.
That's not a negative thing, but it's because she's the person I spend the most time with. So, it could be sometimes that she's just tired and I didn't do the dishes and they're in the sink, and she's like, you never do the dishes, but like,
yeah, you're like, whatever.
One time, and I know that she's tired and she's frustrated and whatever, and that's okay. But if I get that same message for 3 weeks, then it's probably something that I need to look at, right? So I used to be, I think if you lack self-confidence, you look to the outside world to tell you who you are, right? And so when I look to the outside world to tell me who I am, I will never be able to stand in who it is that I am, because I'm constantly looking to you to tell me who I am. And then okay, well, you need me to change into that. Okay, I'm going to try to be that person for you, right? But I'm never confident in who I am because I'm always trying to adapt to the person that you need me to be. I'm not interested in doing that. I know who the person is that I want to be. And
okay, so here's the $1 million question then. I mean, for people that are already exuding confidence or are at that point, great for them. They're probably not listening in, or I don't know, maybe they are listening in. They just want to see if, the vision aligns. But how do you achieve confidence then? How do you achieve that state of knowing who you are? For me, sometimes I'm like, I'm a badass bitch. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, So yeah, what's your experience with that?
Well, you achieve self-confidence by continuously doing the things that you promise yourself that you're going to do, period. There is no other way to self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from looking in the mirror and knowing that you're living up to the standard of the person that you tell yourself that you want to be.
So self-confidence is continually achieving the things that you set yourself out to do.
No, it's not about achievement. It's about taking the actions that you know that you should be taking. It's about not eating that bag of Pringles at 11:30 at night when you know that you shouldn't be eating the bag of Pringles. It's about going to the gym when you told yourself you were going to go to the gym. It's about making the phone call you said you were going to make when you said you were going to make it. It's about
being accountable to your decisions.
Well, again, I'm reading a book right now. It's David Goggins' book. It's called Can't Hurt Me, and he talks about the accountability mirror. And I think the accountability mirror that he lays out in that book is a fantastic. I don't do that, but if someone was to look at a way, because when I look at myself in the mirror, everything that I know to be true is looking back at me. I can fool everybody else in the world, but I cannot fool the person that's looking back at me in the mirror.
Wow.
And that is the true test for me. So if I can look at myself in the mirror and say, you did a good job today. You did what you said you were going to do. And you're living up to the person that you want to be. That is where my self-confidence comes from. When I fall shy of that, when I look at myself in the mirror, I know.
So being able to face the mirror and facing your own personal truth. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of like it goes back to that saying, like, what do you think about that saying? You gotta fake it till you make it.
Well, it depends on what context you use that in. Um, if you use the fake it till you make it principle in the sense of taking the action anyways, despite how you feel about it, and it may feel fake doing it, but you're doing it anyways,
Yeah.
then sure. But pretending to be somebody that you're not until you become that person, I'm not very. I'm not. I don't know. I don't. It depends on the context of the fake it till you make it principle. Fake it till you make it for me is in the context of I don't know that this is going to work. I don't feel like it's going to work. I don't feel like doing it. I don't think I should do it, but I do it anyways. That for me is the fake it till you make it principle.
That's how that applies. That's how it would work for you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean that's again. I look at practicality. I think there's a lot of sayings out there that you can use, and then trying to find, okay, well, how do I practically apply this in my life is where the value actually lies. So that's how I would apply that principle.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I hear that. So just to like reiterate that whole idea. So faking it to make it, meaning when you've decided that you're going to do something, but you're still not totally comfortable doing it, and there's obstacles, there's insecurities, but you're still going to go through with it because it's what you've set as your own personal goal, then that principle is great. But
Yeah. So,
when you're faking it, as in you're doing something that has nothing to do with your goals, but you're just putting on kind of like the suit of fakeness, that's when that idea is out the door.
yeah, because I think that the idea of being fake can be aligned with inauthenticity, right? So when you look
100%.
and that for me is a soul killer, right? Inauthenticity is literally a soul killer because when you're looking at that mirror, looking at yourself saying, I'm inauthentic. I'm not being the person who I actually am. And that literally, that's a soul killer. That kills people. Uh,
100%.
so that's why I'm cautious with the fake it till you make it principle. It's really about, so an example is I want to run a half marathon. I have never been a runner. Right? So, but what do? I put my running shoes on and I go outside. So that's me faking it till I make it. I put my running shoes on, even though I'm not a marathon runner, and I start running.
100%. You take that first step.
And so it's taking the actions. So what is the fake it till you make it principle? It's taking the actions of the individual that you want to be as if you were that person now, and then eventually you become that thing that you want to be.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so the first conversation that we had, you kind of like blew me away with your energy. I was like, oh my God, he's like ready to go. And I asked you, I said, have you always been this motivated? Like, is this something that like it has always been an innate quality? Like, do you believe that some people are just born motivated, more motivated than someone else? Or like, how does this play for you?
I've always had a lot of energy. I think motivation and drive are sometimes thought of something that you need to have as a prerequisite. So I need to grab motivation. I need to have motivation, and then when I have motivation, I will do all these things that I say that that I want to do. So the constant, endless search for motivation, which is this ever elusive thing. So I don't really look for motivation. I look for momentum, and because I'm not motivated, I'm not a motivated person.
Give us an example of when you're not motivated, because like
I'm not motivated.
you literally lost like what? How many pounds?
15 pounds.
You lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. You made your own gym, you own your own company, yet you say you're not motivated. Prove to us that you're not motivated.
I'll prove to you I'm not motivated, because motivation is bullshit for me. I don't utilize motivation, because motivation is always something that I need to seek outside of myself, that I need to say I need motivation in order to do all these other things. And as long as you're looking for that, you're not going to find it. I create momentum through action. You may see that as motivation, but it's not motivation, because motivation, the idea behind motivation is, I really want to do this today. I really want to get up. I really want to get out, and I really want to go at this. And that is not how it works. It's not how it works for me at all.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel motivated. I sometimes feel excitement. I sometimes am really looking forward to the run that I'm going to go on. But 90% of the time, I'm not. The difference between the result and not having the result is taking the action anyways. And then as I continue to take that action over and over and over and over again, I create momentum.
Perfect.
And momentum is a lot more powerful than motivation, because when you get momentum, you're already moving in a direction. And when my mind tries to tell me, no, you're not going to do that, my momentum is, I'm already putting my shoes on. I'm already putting my shoes on. So yeah, thanks for coming out, buddy. We're going for a run.
Nice. Okay, so it's kind of like the analogy of, it's been kind of floating around. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, Antoinette said she likes that. So, it's kind of like that analogy how, life, God, universe, whatever we want to call it, gives us ingredients, so some people might have motivation as an ingredient in their life, or drive, or whatever. Everybody has their own set of ingredients, right? But what separates someone from creating something, a product, is how they utilize, or even if they utilize those ingredients. Is that what you're saying? You can have all these different attributes, but it doesn't mean anything until you create something with it, until you bring momentum to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great saying. It says, pray to God and row ashore, right? A lot of time people are praying to God sitting in a boat in open water, and there's 2 oars there to row the boat. And it's like, so there's a story I heard once, and it was, this is a good analogy for this, this principle is there was a huge hurricane, and the water levels were rising, and this man got on top of his roof, and he was praying to God, and a truck came by and said, hey, if you need a ride, let me know. I can get you out of here. And the guy said, no, I'm okay. I already talked to God. We got it covered. The water levels continued to rise. They got almost to the top of his roof, and a boat came by, and they said, hey man, if you need a lift, I'll help you get out of here. And the guy said, no, I've talked to God, I got a deal. And the water level rose to the top of the house. A helicopter came by and said, hey, if you need a lift, I'll help you get out of here. And the guy said, no, I'm all good. I've talked to God, I got it covered. And the water level obviously rose and took him under, and he drowned and died. And when he got to heaven, he talked to God. He said, hey man, I thought we had a deal. And God said, well, I sent you a truck, a boat, and a helicopter.
That's so
right?
Oops, my goats. Yes, I hear that. I hear that so loud and clear. 100%. What we're going to conclude with in all of our Zoom talks is your challenge, something that you personally have found helpful, for something that you have overcome and that you want to kind of put out to everybody. But before we do that, I just wanted to kind of open everyone's mic and see if anyone either wanted to give you feedback or had any further questions, wanted to pick at your brain for any other things. I'm going to unmute you guys.
That exercise plan, can you reiterate that?
Oh, yeah. So the last part of these Zoom talks is that our speaker is going to put out a challenge to everyone. So it's going to be something that he has personally partaked in himself, and that he has found helpful in his journey to I guess success. So he's gonna give that challenge to everyone, and it's like no one's gonna be following up with you or anything like that, but it's up to you to kind of take on that challenge.
Is this for specifically exercising?
Well, no, it's up to Justin. It's up to Justin. I don't know what the challenge is, but it's going to be something that he has found challenging, that he has been able to overcome, and he has found that overcoming that challenge has benefited his life, and he's going to throw it out to us for us to either take on if it speaks to us or not. Yeah.
I really like the RMS thing, like checking in with your mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. I think with everything going on right now, that was huge. Everything's just been so heavy lately, and not even with the virus, just all the crap we're seeing going on in the US, and it's just so heavy and it's too much.
Stop watching it.
Fair enough. Stop watching it.
Fair.
Shoot it out. No, actually, Chase didn't hear that. Justin, can you talk about that whole mess mentality again that you brought up in the beginning? How you like to do your check-ins with the acronym MESS, MESS?
Yeah, I mean it leaves out the physical, but it's just a one-word check-in where you can do. It's almost like doing a top to bottom check: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, self.
Sorry, can you slow that down? You said mental, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Yes, and you do a one-word check-in with yourself or with another person if you want to do it together, and it just helps to get kind of centered in, almost like a gradient on where you're at in a snapshot of time, and it's useful because it can help to say, okay, this is where I'm at right now. Is that where I want to be? What can I do now to actually get to the place that I want to be at, or what can I change now, or what action can I take to move me into a better place? So, if you're spiritually feeling at a 2, it may be sitting down and meditating for 10 minutes, and maybe, be trying to ground yourself or connecting with, whatever type of higher power if you believe in that sort of thing, or, a spiritual aspect of just taking a spiritual practice you may not have practiced for a while, and resetting on that. If it's physically at a 2, maybe looking at, okay, well, how am I eating today? Am I drinking enough water? Have I exercised lately? Have I gotten enough sleep? How am I taking care of my body? Emotionally, am I connecting with other people? Am I connecting with myself? What relationships am I focusing on, or what relationships are am I feeling some disconnect in right now?
So you had mentioned also in the beginning that you created your own program. It's called 75.
I did not create the program. No.
Oh.
I did not. No. It's called 75 Hard. It's created by Andy Frisella. There's a website. If you look up 75 Hard, there's a website. It's a completely free program. He created it. And outlined how the program works for free on a website, and I just followed that program.
Nice. And does it kind of cater to these 4 points, the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual? Does it have all those elements in its program, or is it primarily just like a physical workout type thing?
Well, most people think that it's a physical program. It's actually not. It's a mental toughness program, because the dedication and discipline required to get through those tasks every single day, 100% without failure, is what it's really about. So, of course, I experience physical changes as a result of the program. You work out twice a day, you stick to a diet, and you drink 4 liters of water, your body's going to change automatically, without a doubt. But I'll tell you that yesterday I didn't take my photo. I was on day 3. I didn't take my photo. I'm back on day 1 today. I've now gone for 80 days straight.
Damn.
Talk about accountability. That goes back to your whole how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
That's correct. And so that's what this is really about, right? It's about I let myself off the hook in all areas of my life. And so in my first 75 days, I'll tell you what my program was for the first 75 days. It was the 2-day workouts, all that water and stuff, but my diet is probably the most important. So it was no sugar, no deep fried foods, and I was intermittent fasting from 8 p.m. until 12 every single day. I had pizza probably 4 times during that period. And when I reflected at the end of the journey, I was like, you know what? I remember the moment when I had the first pizza and I knew that there was sugar in the dough and in the sauce. And I was like, well, are you comfortable saying that you completed this challenge, or are you going to hold yourself accountable for the fact that? And I'm looking at the mirror again, right? I'm looking at the mirror, and the mirror does not lie. The mirror looked back and tells me, you're full of shit. You didn't complete the challenge. You had pizza with sugar in it. So what are you going to do? Are you going to act? So you're going to fake it till you make it and pretend like you did it? Or are you going to be authentic and take responsibility for your actions and start again? And are you actually going to go through this and become the person that you want to be as a result of not letting yourself off the hook for the little things? And
everyone's gauge is different, right? Because I'm sure when you first started the program, you were like, pizza, like 4 slices, like once a week isn't so bad. Last week I ate pizza every night, right? But after you finished and you realized what you were capable of, your baseline was a little bit higher. So you were able to
I knew right away.
Oh.
Okay. I knew right away. And I just continued anyways.
But no,
the real truth is I was at about day 30 and I didn't want to start again. Because I was in an accountability group with 7 other people. My wife was there with me. And I didn't want to go back to day 1 and have everybody else on day 30.
Right.
There was also one night when I didn't read. I forgot to read. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, shit, I didn't read my 10 pages. So I read 20 pages and convinced myself that I had caught up because I read the 10 pages that I was supposed to read the day before the next morning. And then I told myself, oh, yeah, that's okay. You caught up. And at the end of the program, I was like, no, that's not how this program works. You're trying to, again, you talked about ingredients, right? So when you look at baking a cake, there's a specific set of ingredients and there's a recipe that you follow. Well, people get upset when they go to follow a recipe, but they change the recipe. Oh, you take out a couple eggs, you add in a little bit of this, and then they get this cake that's all fucked up, and they're like, oh, my cake didn't turn out like your cake. Well, of course it didn't. You didn't follow the recipe, right? So what I'm learning to do is to take some direction from other people who have been where it is that I want to be and follow their recipe. And when I implement their recipe into my life, I'm going to get the same cake. I'm going to replicate their results. And so I have to get over my own sense of inflated, egotistic, I'm great at who I am, and say, hey, you know what? I need to learn. I need to be in a place of learning and learn from other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
taking ego out of it, taking excuses, all those things. Chase, did you have a question for Justin?
No, I'm okay.
Oh, okay.
It's just good to listen and learn, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
You covered a lot.
Yeah. Justin, did you want to give everyone, is everybody ready? Or Antoinette, did you have another question for Justin, or do you want to kind of hear what his challenge is now?
Let's hear the challenge.
Hear it.
So I would say that right now, the single biggest, so when I talk about momentum, and starting to build momentum is there's a universal law that what gets in motion stays in motion. So there's a law of momentum. So my challenge would be to start to create momentum in your life. And the best way that you can do that is by moving your body physically. So my challenge would be that I'm just going to think about the timeline. It shouldn't really be a timeline. This should be something that you do every single day of your life regardless, is to move your body for 45 minutes to 1 hour every single day. 45 minutes to 1 hour every day. And that means an at-home yoga session. That means an outdoor walk. That means a bike, a rollerblade. It doesn't matter what it is. A full-on exercise is to move your body for 45 minutes to 1 hour every single day. Your body does not need a break. It doesn't need rest days as far as like, sure, maybe you don't have to lift weights 7 days a week, but you can go out for a walk.
Could this be moving my body for 45? Could I just do this for 45 minutes?
Well, look in the mirror and you tell yourself whether.
Okay. All right. No. Okay. Does anybody have any last questions or parting words?
And if I was gonna, so that's my challenge. My suggestion is that you also up your water intake.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I've always been pretty uncomfortable drinking water. It was uncomfortable. If I don't drink 4 liters of water now, I actually feel dehydrated.
Do you know what the ramifications?
So that tells me that my body's always required it. I've just never of dehydration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like scientific ramifications. What does that mean?
Well, the ramifications range from a whole bunch of stuff, from fatigue, mentally, physically, to improper digestion, to your fluids in your body not moving around properly. Our bodies are comprised of 80% water. We need water. We're literally water beings.
Yeah.
We require water.
You know what? It's so interesting that the 2 things that you have recommended, that you have set out as challenges, are actually like they're kind of like principle things. You know what I mean? It's not like I challenge you to build a business model or anything like that. And I feel like a lot of people think that, in order to achieve greatness, you have to do these great things, where it really is just like focusing in on the foundational things, like learning how, like babies, they need to learn how to make the proper emotional expressions before they can even think about walking. Like people already are jumping, so many steps ahead, right?
Yeah, I think Gandhi said it best: is be the change you want to see in the world, right? So it's not trying to change outside circumstances. Greatness comes from within. So when we look to change ourselves first, rather than trying to change the outside world changes. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So really, the real work in this life for me is focusing on the things that I can change. And most of the time, that really is just changing things about myself, how I view and see the world, and the actions that I take.
Amazing. That's amazing. It's so funny because I don't think you mentioned once, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm successful because I graduated with blah, 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 and I was able to make X amount of, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you never mentioned anything external. I think for the last 55 minutes, everything was just like.
Yeah, well, that's where all the change is, right? So the external things, the external is really just a reflection of what's going on the inside. That's really all it is. Right, the world becomes our mirror and shows us how it is that we're showing up. So when I recognize that the outside world is really just a reflection of what's going on inside, I can say, hey, okay, so if this is what's going on outside, then really it's just mirroring what's going on inside. So let's focus our attention on the thing. I can't change the mirror. You don't look at the mirror and try to change the mirror. You try to change the thing that's being reflected. So the thing that's being reflected is us. Let's look at the thing that's actually being reflected and change that. And this thing that reflects back to us, our mirror in the outside world, will change.
That's amazing. That's very Greek mythology shit.
I don't know. Is it?
No, that's amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Justin. You're amazing. All the best with Eva's. I'm going to be stopping by this afternoon to get a mixed code with the 4 credit location.
Yeah, Kristen will be there.
Yay! Okay, amazing. And thank you, participants, for listening in and just like spreading your energy to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you
so much.
I'm excited for you. So continue on your journey and your challenge. And thank you for setting this up and for having me.